So, guys, I'm with Graham today. Graham is a photographer and also part of the Strong Men organisation and a TEDx speaker, which I'm very jealous about, which I'm going to make him talk about whether he likes it or not. So, Graham, go ahead, introduce yourself.
I'm Graham. As Sally said, I'm a photographer. I run Studio GB Photography and Graham Baker Photography. Graham Baker Photography is weddings, and Studio GB is more about your portraits and your business photographs, like your branding, headshots, and that kind of stuff, like behind the scenes photography and business photography. I'm also an ambassador for the Strongmen charity, which is a charity that's specifically set up for men that have experienced mental health problems and to do with bereavement. So it's all linked to bereavement, kind of stress and problems with that. So a lot of it's about losing siblings, parents, children, people that really have an impact on your life. And then obviously when you've lost that person, it can destroy you effectively. So yeah, that's me.
So, how did you get involved in the Strong Men then, Graham?
Well, yeah, I'll start from the beginning. Just over 10 years ago, so it would have been just before Christmas 10 years ago. We lost our baby daughter Scarlett in childbirth, and she was full term. So it's not like a miscarriage. This is a stillbirth, basically. No indication whatsoever of any issues. Everything was fine. It was like, your normal pregnancy. We'd already had my oldest daughter, Sydney. She's fine. So we weren't expecting any problems at all. We went to the hospital in the early hours of the morning. Again, no issues, and they couldn't find a heartbeat, and that was it. She died through a double knot in the cord, which was highly unusual. And obviously that was it. It destroyed us. It was devastating that all our hopes and dreams were kind of sort of destroyed. And and it's like 10 years ago. And I had help. I saw counselling, and work was helpful to a certain extent. But it was all very much about the rubber stamp. Oh yeah, you've had your counselling, now it's back to work kind of thing. And for a guy, there's no for anybody really, there's no instruction manual on how to kind of deal with things emotionally.
Yeah.
So it was a case of, well, I am still part of the police, and I'll get onto that in a minute. You've got all those pressures of dealing with the public and some of the horrors that you deal with as a police officer. So it was kind of straight back to that. So I kind of parked it. It was departmentalized, if you like. My emotional sort of mindset.
Yeah.
And that was it. Got on with life. Didn't really, just carried on and, got on with things. But then last year, this time, in fact, probably maybe sort of like Christmas last year, it hit me. It came out to bite me back. It just, with the pressures of work, and it all just came out. There's all this stuff that I had not dealt with properly in my mind and, emotionally. And I couldn't get out of bed. I literally was I was diagnosed with depression, anxiety issues. I couldn't sleep. I was waking up in cold sweat. I was soaking the bed, I went up sick. I was on tablets, antidepressants, and that was me. So it just so happened that was one thing that I did enjoy. I don't watch a great deal of TV. I don't watch the news. I don't watch any, reality shows or anything like that. But I do like the TV show, the SAS Who Dares Wins.
Yeah.
I really like that. I was in the Territorial Army a long time ago, and so I've always got a little bit of interest in the military. So I watched the show, and then I followed the guys on social media, and I saw a post about this new charity, and it sort of sounded really interesting. It was set up by a lot of those, or one of the contestants, a couple of the contestants, and one of the guys from it, Ollie Ollerton,
Yeah.
and Dan and Ephraim, who were contestants on it. Ephraim he lost his son in Afghanistan, and Dan, he lost his wife. His wife was murdered whilst he was on the phone to her. So,
I
like,
didn't know
quite
that.
horrendous. Sorry.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. He was away on business, and he's rung up home. His wife has rung him saying, "I think there's someone in the house." And basically, whilst he was on the phone to her, she was murdered by. I think he was escaped from asylum or released from an asylum or something like that. But yeah, so it's like, horrendous kind of things that have happened to me. So anyway, they set up this charity, and I saw this note on social media, and I thought, you know what, that sounds interesting. But then I didn't think of it because I was so fed up. I lost my direction. I didn't know what I was doing. And my wife said, "Look, I think we should sort of go for it." And it was basically a weekend break. There was no cost to it. I had to just drive to this location in Wales. And, a few times I nearly turned around and came back as I was driving up there. And I'm glad I didn't, because it was this huge reset button for me. And the concept was something really simple. It was just a case of, do you know what? It's a group of people that have all experienced something not the same, but similar. They've all lost somebody that meant to them, or they lost in some, were suffering from bereavement and then struggled to cope with it. And we literally climbed Snowdon. That was the concept. It was just that there was no pressure to talk. There was no pressure to actually talk about any emotional issues or anything like that. It was just a group of people that got together and do something, out in the fresh air, exercise, movement, and it was just brilliant. I can't even describe the benefit of it. And we just built this strong bond of guys that any normal day you wouldn't even dream about sharing anything quite intimate. And because there was no pressure, it just came anyway. As you're for pardon the expression, I was blowing out my arse climbing up Snowdon.
Yeah.
But I started walking with one chap in particular that I got on really well, a guy called Mark, and we walked up together, and we spurred each other on, and I don't know, there was this bond that grew between all of the guys on it, and now we're in our own private group as part of the Strongmen charity. So we have our own private WhatsApp group, and sometimes people will just pop up and say, "Oh, I'm feeling crap today," and everybody's there, everyone's ready, or pick up the phone and give each other a call and check in on each other, and it's just this huge comfort blanket that we've all got, that we know each other's out there. So that was my involvement, and then basically it kind of spiraled from that. I got to know Ephraim and Dan, and because I do know my way around social media and photography, they said, "Oh, would you like to sort of help out?" And so I go back and I've done more weekends with them, and I've done a lot of photography, and now I'm actually their social media manager. So I'm doing all their social media and sort of posting 2 or 3 times a week. I'm doing a lot of that for them. And I can't speak highly of it. It's just a fantastic organisation, and it's really helped me to reset, if you like. Yeah. Sorry if I went on.
That's amazing. No. I'm absolutely mesmerised by it all as well, because it's something that's, especially obviously with what happened yesterday in the media in respect of Caroline Flack committing suicide. It just reinforces the message that it's so important to have an outlet. And I think men, as we all know, don't find it as easy as maybe women do, although this proves probably women don't either. But it's with the actual group itself, then it's not something has to have been drastic happened in life. It's just it is just support for you guys, for you to actually be able to talk, be able to have an outlet.
Yeah. It's I mean, the idea behind it is using sort of fitness, movement, activity to sort of help people to sort of cope with the stresses of life, and but it's obviously niched down to the fact that it's for men, although that they are looking to expand it. When they say it's strong men, it's actually meant to be strong mentally. It's not it's not about men as such, although that's
Right.
the way it's kind of started. I think as it expands, I think that the idea is that it's going to encompass everything, because it's not just about the men; it's about the families that are linked to it as well. You
Yeah.
know, you speak to the guy's partners, you speak to my wife and people, and they said, well, it's because I'm in this much better place with my mindset than everyone else is. It's like it kind of spreads, it shares, you pass it on. It's at the end of the day, um, I think when I climbed Snowdon, I think I was about 17 stone
Yeah.
in weight, and now I'm 13 and a half, and
Was that just
and
climbing up Snowdon then?
no, it took a little bit longer than that, but that that was the driving force behind it.
Yeah.
I got fit. I go running now. I find that I think it's about that whole aspect of physical fitness, and it doesn't have to be like superhuman or anything like that. But
Yeah.
just being able to be active and move about. I run on average 3 times a week, about 15 kilometers all in total, but
Yeah.
it varies depending on weather's a bit naff today. I'm not going to go running, but I go to karate. I started going to karate with my son. I do that
Mm.
twice a week, and again, it was something to be that I really wanted to be more involved with. What's important. Quite frankly, other people's problems weren't important to me to the extent
Yeah.
that I needed to be. It's that whole, I have to have water in the glass before I share the glass, if that makes sense. And I
Yeah.
needed to take care of myself. I needed a bit of self love, and strongman was the reset button for that. It's not, that was the one aspect of it, but it's grown from that. I've become more stoic, and I read a lot more about that kind of thing, about dealing with people, that whole attitude. You know what? I'm going to wake up. I'm going to have the attitude that everyone's going to be an arsehole to me, and when they're
Yeah.
not, it's a pleasant surprise. And when they are, I was expecting it anyway. Does that kind of make sense? You know, it's like dealing with bullies or people with narcissistic nature. And I had to deal with them as well. And but now it just kind of washes over me. I just feel so much better, and confidence
Yeah.
wise, which is really what the group is really about.
Yeah.
It's been amazing.
So did you not exercise before much, or did you just sort of touch on things, but it's actually given you a bit more purpose when it comes to exercise?
You just nailed it. Purpose. I'd lost my purpose. I'd lost my way. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just kind of waking up, going to work, being miserable at work, coming home, being miserable at home. Not fair on anybody. It wasn't fair on my job. It wasn't fair on my colleagues. It wasn't fair on my family.
Yeah.
But having a purpose, I was overweight. I was eating wrong. I was drinking, and
Mm.
and that's a difficult one, a different route to go down. You start getting into that hole. You get home, have a drink, and then it becomes a habit. And then because you need it, but it's that reset button for me was going on that one weekend, and um, I've lost my train of thought. Sorry, but it's
Yeah.
yeah, having the purpose. I'm now finding that the fitness stuff really helps me. Like yesterday, I ran, I went out. I wasn't feeling it. I was like, oh, I don't really feel like it. I'll go for a
Yeah.
mile. I'll
Yeah.
go for a mile or two. I ended up doing 7 kilometers, so was that just 4.5 miles?
Yeah.
Because I got into this rhythm. The head was clearing. I was thinking about what I was going to do for the rest of the day, planning. All this stuff
Yeah.
kind of resetting the brain, and then you get back, have a nice shower, and then you're like, yeah, bring it on. And that's what it is
Mm.
for me. That whole, I don't see fitness as because I want to be a mountain climber
No,
or
no, you
run a
don't want to be a mountain
marathon.
goat.
No, 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 no. I want a certain amount of physical health because I want to
Mm.
spend that time with my family. I don't want to be old and grumpy and
Yeah.
miserable.
And
And the
I think people
fitness,
forget as well, they don't realise that actually when we start exercise, one of the things you don't have to do, like you just said, you could have just done a mile yesterday, and had you just felt like doing a mile, just do a mile. And I think
yeah,
people think that when you start something like this, you've got to go full out and do it. And I'm a firm believer is if you start with small steps. I mean, I know myself sometimes I don't feel like doing a full session in the gym, so I'll do what I need to do to sort of make me refocus.
definitely. And definitely. And you nailed it again on the head there with the small steps, because that a lot of that we actually took away from you applying it to physical activity. I remember climbing up Snowdon, and it was that 1 foot in front of the other, and we kept saying that, 1 foot in front of
Yeah,
the other, 1 foot in front and it spurred each other on. And then when, like, for example, Mark was flagging a bit, and I said, 1 foot in front of the other, each little step is closer to that
yeah,
top. And it's all those little steps that compounded into to actually achieving something that meant a lot, to us
yeah.
guys. Is that it doesn't seem big when you talk about it to other people. It's just things, oh, you just climbed up stone. Can't you get a train at the top? Well, you can, but
Yeah, defeats the object, kind of.
yeah, it was about being together, being with people that have had similar experiences, and not necessarily, you didn't have to share those experiences, but it was knowledge that you had someone next to you that understood, and
Yeah,
that's all it needed. Sometimes you don't need. I was talking to someone else about this recently, about not wanting, where we've lost a child. People don't know how to react to it, and
uh,
it's almost like sometimes you feel uncomfortable telling people, because not because I feel uncomfortable telling
yeah,
people, but because I'm going to make them uncomfortable, and I'm being
yeah,
nice to them by not saying anything. And I know that
yeah,
seems a strange thing, but at least when I'm with the guys, it doesn't matter. There's no
yeah,
judgment. It doesn't matter how big or how small or bad we're feeling on a particular day. You could pick up the phone, or just fire a message in WhatsApp, and somebody will ring you up and just say,
yeah,
"Hey, how's it going?" And checking in. And I don't actually watch a lot of TV. I didn't even know who the lady was that committed suicide. I knew she was linked to programs that, again, I don't watch,
yeah,
and it's
yeah,
incredibly sad. It's hugely sad to hear that, and I don't know the full circumstances, and I suspect most people don't, because we weren't that person or were close to her. And but I always like to think that it's, as long as you've got someone that can listen, or someone to check in on you from time to time, even if
yeah,
it's just a quick
absolutely.
call. I just think that's really important, and we even encourage it on the social media. It was like, one day I'll put a post out and say, look, just
Yeah,
pick someone, doesn't matter who, give them a ring, give them a message, ask them how they are, and then ask them how they are again, because it doesn't necessarily come on first question, if that makes sense.
yeah, it does. And I can't relate to obviously losing a child, but I know once when I had my burnout, one of the big things when I went back to work was people didn't know how to talk to me. They were expecting to have to tread on eggshells around me instead of, and I could physically see people coming towards me down the office would walk across the other side of the office so they didn't have to speak to me, because it's a case of, how the hell do you say to me, oh, how have you got over your breakdown then? So, but
Yeah,
I actually was asked by the company to do a presentation about what happened to me and why, and to help people actually communicate with me again, say, look, yes, all right, I had a breakdown, I had a complete burnout, but I'm still human. You can still say to me, how are you? And I'm not going to spill my guts to you. I can generally say, yes, I'm fine. And actually, once I'd broken the ice like that, like you're talking about, and actually reached out, people actually started to ask me questions about it. So, and
yeah,
that for me, like you, it changed the path of what I actually wanted to do.
definitely, and that sort of engagement, if you want to call it that, or communication, is so important. And but people, you're right, people don't know how to deal, and still don't. I'll say it, and people kind of almost kind of shrink away. They don't want to know,
Yeah.
because it's almost like a taboo subject, especially with a baby.
Mm,
And the things that we do that people find really strange, but I don't really care, because it's nothing to do with them. But we
yeah.
still celebrate, we still have a birthday party, and we still do
Yeah.
things like. But that's my way of dealing with it. There might be somebody else who
Mm,
deal with it in a completely different way. So it is difficult for people. I lost friends over it as well. People didn't know
mm,
how to deal with it, and it's incredibly sad. And I do almost, well, I kind of become forgiving in that sense, because it's, well, they didn't know how to deal with it themselves, and they've got their own issues.
yeah.
So maybe it was for the best, and I kind of look at it like that. But at the time, yeah, I was, you know, very upset that people just cut me off, didn't want to speak to
Yeah.
me. And it's, and I think those things, again, all those things were parked, all those little things were parked away. Didn't really have anyone to talk to. I mean, I went to some charity, to the SANDS charity, the sort of stillbirth and neonatal death and stuff, and they were good, but I
Mm,
just didn't get anything from it. I didn't find a connection with it, and I think that it was only until Strongmen 10 years later. And
Yeah.
that's the other thing. This stuff can come and bite you years later. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter how
Yeah.
long ago it
Absolutely.
was.
Mm.
And it's just one of those things that that's led me to where I am now. And I'm extremely grateful for Strongmen. I'm extremely grateful for my life as it is right now. And
Yeah.
I think I'm focused on the here and now. And I think with that, when you're happier, it lifts your confidence anyway, and
Yeah. It
you're
does.
confident to see opportunities. And, I met you through the networking stuff and
Yeah.
online, and I've met loads of fantastic people over the past year. It's just been
Mm.
phenomenal. As I say, this time last year, I couldn't get out of bed.
Yeah.
Now, I've just been to karate this morning with my son.
Yeah.
The contrast is completely different.
So have you applied this to your business world as well? So you apply your sort of mindset there as well, and has
Yes,
that
very much
improved?
so. Very much so. I think that where I've tried, I think it's that, when you start off in business, you don't know who your clients are necessarily. And it is a
Mm.
case of, we talk about it a lot, your ideal clients, who are they? And you try and
Mm.
focus your marketing and stuff. And I think I am there now, but it's not so much me. I'm not trying to sell anybody. I think that the sort of giving back has definitely made a massive change in the way I do business and the way that people interact with me. I don't hard sell anybody anymore, but it
Yeah.
comes. It just comes. The work comes, and I just find that I just find really interesting to look for people that have purpose, and I think that's a big key for me is
Yeah.
working with people that have a purpose. And if you're in it just to make money, and we all have to make money, we have to pay
Yeah.
the bill.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people that don't actually have a purpose in what they're doing, and you can tell when you meet people that that they're really passionate, and that's why I think small businesses and individuals are
Mm.
fantastic, because that they do have a purpose in their life.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
their
Absolutely.
baby. So that's the kind of thing that I like to work with. I like to work with those people, and the same with the weddings. I've done my fair share of
Mm.
shall we say island style weddings,
Yeah.
and they're fine, they're lovely, absolutely wonderful people on them.
Mm.
But the weddings that I like to work with now are just like out there, the crazy people, the people that just
Yeah.
sort of want to do it their way and have their own purpose, and celebrate the marriage and celebrate, being together with
Yeah.
their friends. And just because it doesn't look quite as perfect, it doesn't matter. And
And
I
I
think that
like your photos because I've noticed whenever I see them on LinkedIn and things, they always jump out in respect of um, I think they show the person. So I think
yeah,
that's obviously coming through in your work because, I know I look at them and think they are absolutely brilliant, and had
thank
I'd
you.
known you, a year or so ago, I'd have said, do my website because I find my website so stiff. But I noticed your work actually speaks. It actually, I can see your pictures actually speak out loud, which I think
It,
is huge as a photographer.
it is for me. It is part of it. I'm very much about the connection. I mean, I did a job recently for I say still life. It was like product photography, and yeah, it was good. It was
Mm.
challenging. It just wasn't really that. It was challenging and interesting.
Yeah.
But when I'm working with people, it's not about the photograph for me. It's about making sure that person is. Um, what they're getting out of it is important. So I
Mm.
spend most of the time just talking about nonsense and just talking about the weather and stuff like that before I even pick up the camera,
Yeah.
because I want that person to feel totally relaxed and be focused on what they want from the session. It's not about. I always say this: it's not about me. It's about you and what I can do
Mm.
for you. And that's kind of my whole ethos with the photography. It's not. It's about telling your story, not my story as the
Yeah.
photographer. So I spend a lot of time talking to people, especially if you get a lot of people that know they want their headshots done, but they're too shy or they're too frightened to have
Mm.
their picture taken. I will spend twice as long with them just so that, we can talk it through, and we discuss what is it they don't have the confidence in,
Yeah.
And hopefully it comes through, and you seem to think it does, and
Yeah,
I'm
it does.
grateful.
It really does. I mean,
I'm
I've been
very much
stalking you on LinkedIn for a while, because even before we met, I'd seen your photos and seen you were local, and I actually saved one of your posts so that I could actually look at the photos. I knew we were. I was due to have some more photos done. Unfortunately, that I hadn't got round to it. Still haven't, to be fair. I'm still being nagged to get some more
you
photos
know
done.
you know
Yeah,
where
I
to
know
get
where
me.
to go now. So, but actually, it's funny because that's how I noticed you, was how your work came across. I really liked it.
Yeah, but that's good. At least I know I'm doing something right. In that sense. I mean, I guess it shows. I do get very good feedback from my clients that they generally leave me very nice reviews and testimonials and things. And I don't
Mm,
always expect that. And I think it's that whole people buy from people, and or people work with people,
yeah.
and and I guess a lot of that does come into it. That whole when, especially when people come in and they're not very confident and they're worried about this and that, and normally within a few minutes, I've worked very closely with a fitness instructor recently, and
Mm,
she was incredibly nervous about having her pictures done, and
mm.
the first sort of 25 minutes we just sat and had a coffee, and
Yeah.
just but by the and it was once you saw what I was about, and it wasn't about the photography, it was about connecting on a human level, and that was what actually was more important than the actual
Mm,
photography. And of course the photographs have been fantastic for her business is expanding, she's using
yeah.
them to promote them, she's got some very important meetings coming up very soon because of on the back of
Mm,
that. So and I don't just, it's not about the photography, so especially the business stuff. I
yeah.
help, a lot of photographers out there. I've been on these workshops online and stuff, and
Yeah.
it's about, yeah, we can charge this and we can charge that. And that's great because I need to pay the bills.
Mm,
But then I say, well, what do you do when you hand the pictures over? This is when we move on to the next client. I said, well, what if they don't know how to use them? Or
yeah.
what are they using? Are you helping the client use those photographs to the best ability? Because the way I see it is that if they're not, then that's a reflection on me as well, because I
Mm,
want them to use those photographs in a way that's good for them. I can then say, look at this client using my work.
yeah.
It's it's self-fulfilling in a way.
Yeah, it is
Um,
totally.
so I follow up. I spend time with them afterwards, and help them with their websites, help them with their I'm not an SEO expert by any stretch of the
Mm,
imagination. I help them with their social media. The
mm.
fitness instructor is the perfect one because I helped her set up a Google My Business page, and she got her first 2 5-star reviews. So,
Oh, that
and
was
that's
good
just,
then.
yeah,
I'll
which
be
is
tapping you next then.
not me. I don't know, but I just encourage people. I help her set it up, and I said, look,
Mm,
now it's there, it's existent. Reach out to a couple of your clients that you loved working with, and just,
mm,
you've got some good feedback personally. Just say, look, would you mind just doing a quick review for me? And hey,
mm.
presto, she's got 2 5-star reviews within,
Yeah.
a matter of weeks, which is,
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
absolutely
you know,
fantastic.
it's great. And then because I do that, go that little extra mile,
Mm.
what does she do? She talks about me all the
Yeah.
time, and
Yeah, it's
you
true.
know,
Yeah, it's really
networking is a
fun.
big part of that as well. It's applying those sort of engagement skills that online
Mm,
to real life face to face and talking to people. That really helps. And I know, again, people, struggle with confidence to just actually go up there and talk to people. And again, a year ago, I probably wouldn't have gone to any networking kind of groups, or if I
yeah.
did, I would have been the quiet one in the corner and thought, oh, this isn't for me. But now I don't care. I just get stuck in
Yeah,
and
and
just start talking
well,
to
I was
people.
thinking, if anything, the takeaway when you go into something like that is, what can you learn about at least one person in the room? What could you learn
Yeah.
about? Because that one person in the room will learn something about you as well. And again, it's those small steps. Just take a step. Just ask somebody about themselves. And then even if you go shrink back into your corner, you've done one thing. You've made one step that day. So next time can do two people. I sort of work on
Absolutely.
that basis, because I had to do it myself. I was, very much, in, when I started out again, and I had to build myself back up, it's right. Okay, how do I communicate with people now? I don't want people to. I don't want to tell my story. I want to just learn about somebody else as well. I don't want it to all be about me.
And it shouldn't be.
No.
I know that. I don't mean it in a. What I mean by that is that that's what people want. They want to feel like they're interesting. So if
Yeah.
you show interest in someone else, they will soon. It's a very likable thing to do. I think it's even in the old book. I can't remember. It's called the Dale Carnegie one, the How to Influence and Influence People. Is that
Yeah.
how do you get interest? How do you get people talking to you? Well, you talk to them. Well, you show interest in them, and ask them about their lives, and create that human connection. And well, I've only been really properly networking since October last year, and it's been phenomenal. It's been really, really good.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying it, and I've got work out of it. Even if it's through connections rather than I don't go to the networking group to sell. It's about having some connection with people. When you're working for yourself, it's really important.
It's lonely.
Very lonely.
Yeah.
Very lonely.
So, burning question, I'm dying to ask. How did you get your TED Talk? How did the TED Talk come about? Because I obviously know it's about the mental health side of it, and actually about story in respect of what we've just talked about. So what did you actually talk about, on your TED Talk?
Right. Well, it's still the actual official talk itself is not happening until April the 25th.
Right.
But the actual process obviously started last year. Now, what happened was a friend of mine on Facebook, there's two of them actually, a male and a friend, a woman friend of mine, have done TED Talks in the past.
Right.
And they suggested to me, they said, well, why don't you sort of apply for one? And I was like, well, I don't know, that's a bit of a bit of a step, way out the comfort zone. But then there was another story going concurrently with that one. So I went on this social media, I guess, event with part of the charity. So we went with there's a company that sort of offers out social media advice for charities.
Yeah.
And we had this day where we basically spent talking about how to improve social media engagement, how to plan and do your strategies, and have goals with what you want to post out, and all that kind of stuff. And one of the suggestions wasn't to me; it was directed at the director of the was, what about TED Talks? Have you thought about applying for that?
Yeah.
And he went, oh yeah, that sounds like really interesting. On the other side, my friend had said, oh, think about TED Talks or TEDx. So I was suggesting it to everyone. I said, oh, you should really do this. You should apply because you've got this fantastic story. It'll be good for the charity and all the rest of it. And they're like, yeah, we'll do that. Anyway, it turns out that the applications for this particular one were literally within a few days. So I just thought, you know what? I'm going to give it a punt. I'm just going to give it a go. So I went onto their website. I filled in all the bits and pieces. I said what I was going to talk about. And I sent off the application. Now, what I also did was I did a video. So I created a video of just me talking about what I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
So it may, and I think that's probably what made the difference in the application process. Because when they contacted me and they said, yeah, we really like you, I think that, having that video, they could see what my character was like. They could see what I was like as a person. But also you could convey the emotion of what I wanted to talk about. And I think that my advice, if you were going to, and I know you're keen to
I'm sat here just going, yes, tell me.
Definitely do a video, but don't overthink it. I literally just put up the phone and I went, this is like I have been with you. It's just literally just I was almost having a chat with myself about what I was about, what I was doing, how it changed my life, and I think also I wasn't trying to be an expert. if that makes sense. It
Yeah,
was from
yeah.
quite a layman's, I call it the everyman perspective. It was,
Mm,
um, I wasn't trying too hard to
mm.
impress, if that makes sense. So I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
just being
totally.
me, personable. I
Mm,
think the video would be my biggest top tip for
mm.
applying. You do your written stuff as well, but
Yeah.
really don't overthink it. I spent a bit of time on the application, and I didn't have very long to do it, but I put it
Mm,
together, and then I thought, you know what, I'm going to add a video. I didn't have to. There was
mm,
no reason to do it, and I know other people, I'm assuming, didn't do
mm.
videos. But I thought, you know what, I'm going to do that and see what happens. And well, here you go. I got selected,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's madness. It's on the 25th of April. And I'll tell you what, the organisation is brilliant. They're
Yeah.
really, really cool with you. They sort of go through different stages about where you are with it. So you have to do like your first draft, and they
Mm,
can help you with that. We have sort of regular meetings to sort of talk about it. And if you've got confidence issues, they will talk about that.
mm.
And I have to do it. You get given a little X.
Yeah, no, I saw the picture the other week. I thought, brilliant, absolutely
Yeah,
brilliant.
they've given us little challenges to have to sort of have pictures with the X and stuff like that to
Yeah.
promote it. But they've been brilliant. They sent me a book on TED on speaking at public speaking, and
Mm,
um, yeah, it's phenomenal. I'm nervous, but I'm
yeah,
excited. Nervous. I think what they
yeah,
said, I've been told it's about 400 people in the actual live audience.
yeah.
It's all filmed and streamed live, so it could be anywhere between. I think it depends on the time of day, but it's something
Mm.
like in the region of about 20 to 70,000 people watch it live. So no
Wow.
pressure.
No, no pressure at all. Blimey, that's fantastic. So where do you actually do the talk then? Because, I'd quite like to see it, to be fair. So,
It's in Norwich.
all right.
Yeah, it's in Norwich. I think you probably have missed out because the tickets sold out within
So
like
you're on
that.
a sellout tour then?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It, it's nothing to do with my photography, and I think that
Mm,
again, there's people on there that are, you can go on just go onto the TEDx Norwich education.
mm,
Basically the theme of what they've said on this particular one is an educational theme, but in its widest capacity. So my talk is cool. I don't want to say give too much away, but it's kind of
yeah.
hinted about the conversation. But
Mm.
it's called have a stiff upper lip and man up.
All right.
Um, that's the title
Mm.
of my talk, which is it's very much about men's attitudes to themselves around mental health.
Yeah.
That's really what the talk is about. And but there's people on it when we were in the first group, and it was I'm Doctor This, and I'm a
Mm.
head teacher here, and I'm like, yeah, I'm just an ordinary bloke who's going to talk about the and I did have a bit of imposter syndrome with it
Mm.
initially, but as I said, the organisers are just fantastic. They said, look, if we didn't think that you weren't brilliant, then we wouldn't have picked you. There was
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
400 or 500. I don't know how many people. There was. We're in the hundreds of people who are applying, and there's only
Mm.
20 odd people that actually got through. So they've said that
Mm.
even that is a huge accomplishment in itself. And
God,
I do
yeah.
think.
You should be just proud of yourself for that one.
Yeah, I feel proud, and I'm sure that you'll get your shot as well. I mean, um, you've got a lot that you're offering and you're sharing and giving. You wouldn't have this group otherwise, and
Mm.
that's what I think it's all about. And again, it's back to my photography a little bit. It's
Mm.
all about the story. I
Yeah.
think if you've got that story, if it's something that's going to spark some interest in someone, or just, the way I look at it is if I help one person with my talk, even
Mm.
if it's just to spark a little seed of interest, or do you know what, I feel like that sometimes, or actually I don't need to feel like that anymore,
Yeah.
then I've achieved it. It's something that I kind of have that attitude of, look, I'm there not to promote myself in the slightest, although I'm sure it already has had an impact
Yeah.
in things, but that's not it was no sort of ulterior motive. It's that, I wanted to do it because I was helped through the charity and through friends, and I'm giving back. And if I can spread the word and talk about, men's mindset, and from a non-expert perspective, and I think
Yeah. Yeah.
it's key to say, look, there's a lot of experts who talk about this and talk about mindset, but when you're hearing it from your next door neighbour, people might have a second thought about it. So that's the whole thing. But yeah, do a video.
No, I'm a great believer in when you do when something happens to you, there's got to be something good that comes out of it. And my own thing is, I had a burnout, I had a breakdown. If I hadn't sort of learned from that or used that, then to help other people, then what was the purpose? Well, not the purpose. That's probably the wrong word for it. But for me, it's giving back. I had so much support, so much help that I just recognised that I wanted to do that. I wanted to give back as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's. I think that I've gotten more from giving than anything else. Just by helping others, being engaging, talking to people, and being there. Your Facebook group is testament of that. It's helping and giving back, and I think it comes back in return. It's that whole goes around, comes around. I know it's a bit cliche to say that, but it's true. You just think that. It's not a guilt thing. I don't even know what it is, but I just find. And years ago, I wouldn't have been like, I'm not. Charities there. I don't do that. I don't do charities. I don't raise money for charities. I was very much like that. But now I just sort of, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. I understand that it's not about. It's about. I almost like to give because it gives me something as well. It gives me a little bit of comfort that I'm helping someone, that that somebody helped me, so I now got the strength to help others. Water in the glass again.
Yeah, and as somebody approached me the other day. It was through Facebook actually, and just asked my advice on something, and asked me how much that would cost. And I said it cost nothing to ask a question, and I was quite taken back. But I'm very conscious that obviously in the coaching world there is this high ticket thing and masterminds, but sometimes when somebody's just asking you, they generally want to just ask you a question that you can answer. Why would you not? And that's when I say that's for me. That's that giving back. Yes, of course, I've got a service program to work with, but when somebody genuinely just wants to reach out, I don't see a problem with that. I know a lot of people say to me, "Oh, you shouldn't work for free," but to me, it's not working for free. It's at a time when I probably needed it. If somebody had done that for me, then it would have spoke volumes.
Yeah, absolutely. And like this I forget the name, the lady that died in the
Caroline Flack.
Yeah. Who's maybe that's all that she needed. And maybe there was somebody that could have just that she could have put a note on her own or whatever. But you know what I mean? Who's to say that? And if there was people around there or whatever she was feeling, because as I understand, there was people that were not being very nice in the press about her personal circumstances. Again, as I say, I don't really get involved or watch the news and stuff. I hear things, I understand what's going on in the world, but I get enough without having somebody else's subjectiveness put to me as well, which is what the news is these days. It's all nobody can honestly say exactly what happened because none of us were directly involved. People feel they are because of social media and the press, because we feel this need that they're in our lives, these celebrities, but they're not. They're just ordinary people who have a particular job that gets seen by more people, but they're still having the same struggles. Very sad.
Yeah, very, very sad. Graham, it's been absolutely fantastic to talk to you today.
Yeah, it's nice to it's nice to have a chat, really. And if somebody benefits from it, I mean, I'll say to anybody in the confidence group, it can be done. I'm testament of that. Although it was a different route for me, but certainly the Strongmen charity has been an amazing journey for me, and certainly helped my confidence, or regain my confidence. I think I lost
Yeah.
my confidence. I'm always a confident person, but
Yeah.
I lost it.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go out. I didn't want to do anything. Whereas now I've got this sudden um, vitality back to it,
Yeah.
and it's growing. It feeds itself now. Once you
Yeah.
start, those little steps soon
Yeah.
grow
Yeah. I
and grow
do.
and grow.
Yeah.